Welcome back to Boys and Ghouls Film Review, folks. I'm your host, Sarah Stephenson, and this is my co-host, Mike Stephenson.
Hi, guys.
And tonight we're reviewing a movie that was released last year called Halloween Kills, that was released in 2021. And, well, I know that we've already gotten right into November, and we were kind of late, so sorry if we
We had some other things we wanted, but this isn't strictly Halloween anyway. You can do this any time. So
but as you said, as we often say in the past, it's Halloween every day for us on Boys and Ghouls.
You should see my office. I've got skeletons hung up around here and little pay lights with skulls and pumpkins on it. Yeah, and that's 365 days of the year.
Yeah, so this one is the less liked by the media, according to media.
Not less liked, but it didn't rate as well as the other ones.
Yeah.
And we think we know why, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, so let's get down to the nitty-gritty.
Nitty-gritty. Okay, I'll do my normally bits here and things. And okay, here we go. Produced by Malak Akkad. Jason Blum and Bill Block. Directed by David Gordon Green. Written by, Scott Teems, Danny McBride, David Green. So there you go. Obviously based on John Carpenter's and Deborah Hill's characters, obviously. Had to start somewhere. Now, box office and everything, all good groovy things. Budget, $20 million. It made about $131 million, $132 million at box office. That doesn't include the home media sort of stuff.
As we've established, yes.
So, what I would suggest is that it made a shitload of money.
Mike, don't swear. I keep telling Mike never to swear on this podcast.
Okay, a bucket load of money.
Better.
Okay, right.
Anyway, so you guys know before Mike goes on, in this one, this Halloween Kills, all the original characters from the Halloween 1978 one have returned in to rephrase their roles. You know, apart from Jamie Lee Curtis and Nick Castle, whom we all know really well, there's Kyle Rich Hurt, Nancy Stevens, and
you're getting this right now.
And Charles Cipher. I don't know how to spell it.
Look, okay,
I can't really read their names.
I'll read the names for Jamie Lee Curtis, obviously, Charles Cyphers, Kyle Richards, Nancy Stevens, and Nick Castle.
Yeah. Of course, Tommy Doyle and Lionel.
Richie.
Not Lionel. Lionel. The kids from the original, who now play adults, are actually played by different actors because the two other actors who originally did it years ago, well, the one is Brian Adams, who has retired since 2015, and Brett, he's actually never acted again since the original Halloween. So technically, those two poor guys are out, and they probably don't want to return for a Halloween reunion. So that's sad for them. Anyway, also guys, another reoccurring character you may have seen and have been wishing to see since the original Halloween movies, dear old Samuel Loomis returns to rephrase his role again. Even though Daniel Pleasant, he's long dead since Donald Pleasance is long gone for many years. So they had to get another actor to rephrase his role. Of course, they didn't use CGI. They used actual special effects makeup to make him look like him, and had to have dub his voice with a different actor to make his voice sound like the original actor too. So that's kind of good that they brought back, recreated a character using old-fashioned makeup instead of just go ahead with CGI when it doesn't look really real when you think about it. Wouldn't you say, Mike?
CGI is a good tool, but not always perfect. No,
yeah,
I agree. Yeah.
I think they make several mistakes whenever they try to recreate a character, bring back a character who's young, and try to recreate the character again. But Then,
However,
does-
he looked like the guy.
He looks like the guy.
And he sounded like the guy.
And he sounds like the guy.
And it's only a bit part, you know.
Yeah. He only played in a flashback, and then we don't see him again for the next... never.
No, it's only sort of, a quickie. There you go.
Yeah, I have
about 5 seconds or something, right?
Yeah, I have an actor friend named David, who's also... He actually resembles his own version of Samuel Loomis. I know. I told him this several times in the past. And
Sam Loomis? Oh, that's his name. Oh, Sam. Yeah.
Samuel Loomis.
Dr. Loomis's Sam.
Yeah. Yeah, and Donald Pleasant, as we said. And I've said this on the odd occasion, and he's kind of... I think he thinks it's pretty nice of me. Anyway, moving on to... So, who stars in this, aside from the actors we mentioned?
Lots of people. Right.
Yeah, we know Jamie Lee Curtis is back.
I got lots of them here. Okay, look, I'll go for a few of them anyway.
Yeah.
Jamie Lee Curtis plays Laurie Strode. She's still going.
Mm-hmm.
You can't keep a good woman down, hey.
Of course not. She's like Sarah Connor or Ripley from
right.
Aliens. In this movie, anyway.
Whatever. Judy Greer plays Karen Nelson, Laurie's daughter. Mm-hmm. Andy Matichak plays Alison Nelson, Karen's daughter, and Laurie's granddaughter. Now, Will Patton plays Deputy Frank Hawkins. He was in the original, was he?
No, not the original. He was in a flashback from the original,
yeah.
which indicates that he and Laura had a bit of a thing.
Yeah.
I won't go into details yet.
Who's more important? Yeah.
Michael.
No, it's going down here. There's a few people here. There's other policemen and stuff. Anthony Michael Hall plays Tommy Doyle.
As I said before, guys, it's a different actor. He's not the original.
He's not bad. He works
but he does a good job trying to portray his role.
Now, was down here. Who plays Michael? That's friggin' bloody...
Well, there's two actors named James Jude
Courtney and Nick Castle.
And Nick Castle, who was originally Michael years and years ago, back in the 1978 one I told you about.
Yep, there you go. I won't talk about everybody else.
Yeah, I've talked to him a couple of times when I discussed with him about how to make a good slasher years ago. It's not too. He has some interesting advice, and he offered to email me some details about how to make a good slasher work. Anyway, I often thought this was a good take on bringing back the original cast, like a reunion, instead of trying to recast them with different actors and stuff like they do in the past.
It does help. There's a bit of a sense of continuity. I like that sort of thing. It's sort of like. Say Star Trek, you had the movie, or the TV series, and the movie started, and they did quite a few movies. Then they actually integrated William Shatner and who's the other guy who took over from him? Wally guy, Picard. Yeah. Can't remember his name. In a movie.
You mean Patrick Stewart?
Yeah, Patrick Stewart, yeah. So they had him in the same movie. Of course, William Shatner's role, Captain Kirk, had been... he hurt, destroyed, and went into another dimension? No, went into another dimension.
He went to another dimension, and then later on he dies at the end of the story.
But during that dimension, Patrick still went to get him back because I needed him.
Yes, and then he died later on in the story.
Something about the Nexus or something, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then he died eventually.
Yeah. Oh, he died at the end of that one, yeah. But there's a bit of a crossover. It had a nice sense of continuity happening there.
Yeah. Anyway, Anyway, as I said before, this movie is not less liked, but it sort of... what did you call it before we were talking earlier about?
When I've been reading through a few things, I get the impression that, it did good at the box office. Okay, don't get me wrong. But the critics didn't like it, and the people who voted on it didn't like it. They're saying, we wanted more action, we wanted more blood, we wanted more jump scares. Well, yeah, but it's been done before that way, so... Maybe it's a slightly different take on how to get it.
Yeah, and we already established that fact. Michael doesn't seem to be interested in Laura Strode. I think he's just interested in going home.
He wants to go home, yeah. He's just like E.T. He wants to go home. He wants to go back to his house where he grew up as a kid. Yeah.
Back in the 2018 version, this one's a sequel to that one. in that one, the doctor, not doctor as in Samuel Loomis's doctor, but the other new doctor that was looking after Michael Myers, he set him free in order to get him to confront Laura Strode as a bit of a, Laura Strode gets versus Michael Myers, but thanks to removing him from the path of going back to his home, he was placed, say, a few miles away from where his destination he wanted to go.
Yeah.
It's sort of like removing him from his territory.
Yeah, a bit rude. You don't
which
do
is
that,
kind of rude, and which could cause a big, massive body count, according to...
Yeah, and it does in most good movies.
Yeah, so, anyway... should I dive into the story itself?
Well, I would say it's time to say Once Upon a Time, okay?
So, where we left off, the whole house that Laura Strode with Michael in it is burning to the cinders. Then they're inside on a truck heading towards the hospital. But then we hear fire trucks going in the opposite direction of where they came from.
They want to put the fire out.
And Laura is like yelling, "Stop! Don't go! You're gonna regret it."
And they did actually. A few firemen didn't come home that night.
Yeah. So really, originally, these actually actors who are playing firemen, they're not actors. They're actual firemen. Because on set, the actual set of the house is actually really burning to a cinder in real life. Not really.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So
they built the house to burn it down. So they would have had to have a good fire brigade there anyway.
Yeah. In case
so they put them in there as actors, or extras.
So in case of something went wrong, like maybe this whole set went on fire, they would be on hand and be able to really try to contact more firemen if they needed the help.
Very clever.
Anyway, we flash back to 1978, and this is where the deputies, Deputy Frank and the other deputies, are searching for Michael, and they even talk about how they knew Michael when he was a kid, how he used to pluck wings of flies.
Oh, well, who didn't?
Who didn't back then? I never...
You did?
No.
Well.
I did weird things too, but not thing that chaotic.
No, I was joking.
He also... they also said that he stood in his sister's room and stared out of the window and probably over the town trying to think how boring a town we live in.
I'm just wondering whether someone make a message that he might have been standing at the window because he was looking at his own reflection.
Possibly. That's what we learnt later on.
Yeah.
Anyway, the deputies, they get to Michael's house, and as they're surveying the residence, we see the dead remains of the dog that we mentioned in the first movie that Samuel Loomis discovered, saying he got hungry, meaning he was eating dog's remains.
So he had a hot dog?
Yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah. Anyway, the deputies go up to the sister's room, and while he's surveilling the room and the window, Michael appears, stabs him, and not really stabs him. He uses him as a human shield in one of the scenes when the other deputy appears and plans on shooting Michael, but he misses.
And he shoots the other policeman, the deputy, whatever.
Yeah. Michael leaves the room and he heads downstairs, where he sort of stands in the same spot he stood in when he killed his sister.
When he was a child.
Which makes me think that Michael is reenacting the moment he killed his sister. He killed those girls who were babysitting, not to, in different parts of the neighborhood.
His sister was supposed to be babysitting him in the first movie, and she was treated like a piece of crap.
Yeah, he was probably killing Laura and her friends because they resemble his sister.
Or remind him
of his sister.
That sounds like a plan
and
of the guy.
So he killed them. He stalked them and killed them. And then he heads back to his home and reenacted the moment when he was found holding the bloody knife and standing there with his costume mask on.
Yeah, clown mask or clown mask. No, clown mask, wasn't it?
Yeah. Anyway,
kid.
Samuel Loomis was about to shoot him, but then the deputy takes his gun and then aims it at the sky.
Yeah.
And sparing Michael's life.
And Michael went to the hospital.
Yeah, Frank.
Nut house.
Yeah, Frank, the deputy, assumes that he's like a mother's son, and therefore he doesn't deserve to be killed. But how does he even realize that the monster that he's become? I don't think his parents really care about him anymore. I don't think they're probably kept in contact with Michael. Would you say, Mike?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
I knew. I didn't write a script.
That's the thing about the whole Michael Myers. We never even find out what became of his real, actual parents.
No.
No one ever asked that question.
All we know is from the first movie, it was a kid who was
I like to
10
think
years old, 8 years old, whatever he was, and he went nut house.
I like to think that Michael's original parents, they went into... they changed their names
probably.
And they moved away from the town because they were probably criticized, probably told, you must have been abusive parents, therefore that's why he behaved like this. The usual comments you get in the media circus. Anyway, they didn't want to tolerate this, so they moved away. My theory, anyway.
Something like sounds like a plan there. Yeah.
Anyway, then we crossed back to the present. Laura is about to be loaded into the hospital, and meanwhile, bits of the town are celebrating Halloween. Of course, we get wind of the fires, and the firemen are all killed at the scene. The sheriff, the new sheriff in town, is observing the whole thing, and there, some of the residents start ganging up, trying to make a lynch mob together, or a mob anyway, to try to find and kill Michael. Of course, things don't go according to plan.
It never does.
They think at first that Michael is coming for Laurie Strode, but this doesn't seem to play into the what the killer has in mind.
He wants to go home.
Because that's
he
not...
wants to go to his old neighbourhood.
Yeah, Michael's not that type of person like that. He doesn't carry grudges or have aspirations of revenge. I don't think he does that sort of thing. I don't think he has that. It's on his motivendo.
No, he just kills. He just kills. Yeah.
Anyway, he gets. So he kills a few more people on the way. Allison goes with her boyfriend and his father to go and try to find Michael and put an end to him. At first, when they were being interrogated, they're told, guess what, Michael's alive and stuff, and this freaks them out.
Eek. Run for the hills. He's coming from the hills. Well, run away from the hills.
We also find out that there is another inmate who plays a pawn in this Michael's
poor fellow.
thing, who's just a poor, sickly man who's just wandering around the town.
Near the beginning of the film, there's some mention, or they showed a truck, a transport sort of security truck. He might have been transported and had an accident, and he got out. And he's been roaming around, and they think that he might be Michael Myers because he's in the town area, and they think he's a weirdo, so he could be Michael Myers.
Yeah.
But no one checked him, didn't ask him any questions.
He soon arrives at the hospital.
He's asking, I need some help.
Yeah.
And there's Michael Myers. Michael Myers doesn't talk.
Then the people start running, chasing the poor man. Of course, Karen tries to help him, and they tries to calm down the people, telling him it's not Michael. Michael isn't a tall being. This guy is
short, fat, ugly like me.
He doesn't have this persona of being Michael.
Exactly. And in the end, the old fellow breaks a window and
he falls out and he dies.
And he jumps to his death.
Yeah, and
yeah.
Tommy and I guess, let me see who else. Oh yeah, the ex-old sheriff of the town. They realize this is not Michael because they start realizing their mistake, and they're warping up the crowd, causing them to act like monsters, attacking any individual who so much as looks at you weird.
It must be Michael Myers. He looked to be strange.
Yeah, they warped up the crowds, causing them to act vile and dangerous and on a warpath.
Actually, that same theme's come in lots of movies over the years. A long time ago, there was a movie called In the Heat of the Night with Sidney Poitier was in it. I can't remember. I think I can't remember the lead actor who played the sheriff, but he was an Afro-American person. Came to town to visit his parents or relatives, something or other. And he was sitting there waiting for a bus. And they thought he was up to no good because he was an Afro-American guy sitting there waiting for a bus.
Oh, okay.
You see, no one knew him, who he was, so he's a stranger in town. He must be up to no good. And it's the same thing goes through movie after movie after movie.
Yeah, it seems like
anyone doesn't belong must be up to no good. So,
yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you there, Mike. I mean, in a lot of other movies, they deal with whenever a stranger comes to town, either they're up to no good or they're there for a good reason. They may turn out to be a godsend to some people.
Yeah, it's not like if you watch another horror movie, or horror show, whatever. If someone comes to town at about the same time as an occurrence happens, like a possession or an axe murder or something or other, they say, well, nothing happened until this person came to town, so it must have something to do with that person. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily, just the wrong place, wrong time,
Yeah.
So it's
Anyway,
good basis for a plot in the movie, though. Hey.
Michael eventually kills some of the volunteers. He kills a lot of other people along the way. He soon arrives at his digs and kills two of the occupants living at the very place.
Yeah, some guys, two guys were living in, obviously bought the house and made their own, and they were living there. And
they were pestered by a few kids.
Yeah, and they didn't mind the trick-or-treaters too much, but Michael Myers comes along, and he was more like Trick. And they lost.
Yeah, of course, Allison and her boyfriend and their father arrive, and they're heading inside, and as they're heading up, well, his dad goes in first, but we don't see what happens to him until his son goes.
Did you hear a yell or scream or a gun go off or something? No, he did. He heard something in the background. That's why they went after him.
Yeah.
I can't remember that. Yeah.
Anyway, they head inside, and first we don't see anything, and then we see blood trickling down from the ceiling, and
they had one of those ceiling hatches going up in the attic.
Yeah, and there we see
ceiling space. Yeah.
See Lonnie crumbled up into a bit of crumbled up
into
into
jammed up there.
Jammed up there.
Yeah, if the stairs partly open, he saw his arm and his head hanging out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty groovy.
His son gets a gruesome death where he ends up being thrown into a staircase and starts being pelted by Michael. And when he's still breathing his last breath, Michael straightens his head just to keep him.
It's like in
It's like straightening a frame on a wall.
No, it took his head and snapped his neck. He
couldn't stand the grunting.
You know the way. A quick snap, but 90-degree angle, whatever. Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah, he's about to kill Allison. He's about to plunge a knife into her, and she's like saying, "Do it, do it, do it, do it, do it." And then her mother appears, and he uses a pitchfork and stabs Michael
right in the back.
In the back.
You know those big little hay baling pitchforks you see?
Yeah. She grabs his mask and she taunts him by saying, "Come and get it, come and get me," all that stuff. So he chases her through the streets and out the other end, and where a big crowd is waiting for him, and they're about to beat him with.
They had baseball bats and guns and crap. They were gonna beat
canes,
the
whatever.
Out of him.
So they beat him, and some of the times they shot him, they hit him, and you think
that he would have been dead by now. And this is Michael.
And of course, Karen takes his knife and stabs him in the back of the neck.
Yeah, that hurt.
Yeah,
that hurt.
And you think that's it. But as Laurie narrates, she says that the more Michael kills, the more powerful he gets. He may be not he's a very big force to be reckoned with.
He certainly is, Ollie. He certainly is.
And while the crowd's settling down, we think it's all over. Then the sheriff approaches him and takes his gun and is about to shoot him in the back of the head.
And
then Michael wakes up and, with his knife, starts slashing his the people away.
Yeah.
And while this is happening, Karen is looking up at the window of the Michael Myers house and sees an image of a 9 or 8-year-old Michael staring out through the window in a ghost-like form. She goes up there and she stands in the exact spot that the deputy and therefore Michael's sister probably stood in. And then we see Michael approaching behind her and killing her. And then we watch as Laurie feels, a feeling inside that knowing that her daughter, something is wrong.
Here. Yeah.
Then we cut then we cut to the credits. To the end of that movie.
That little John Carpenter riff, the tickly piano thingy, whatever.
Yeah. I like that John Carpenter and his son or his grandson are working together on this project of these.
Yeah.
It's a nice joint project, as I often like it. Anyway, so that's the end of Halloween Kills in this one. I feel a little sad about the ending because that means that we're...
So Laurie Strode's daughter is now dead.
Allison's still alive.
His granddaughter's still alive, but did she get stabbed or something as well?
Yeah, she got a little bit injured.
Yeah, yes, but she's still alive. But the one in between's dead. Yeah, mother,
The next story takes place like 5 or 4 years after
but we're
this
not
one.
reviewing that today.
I know we're not reviewing that today, but we'll review it next time.
Next time, yeah.
So it just came out just last month. So
we want to get a bit more information, see how it went box office and stuff.
Yeah,
so,
I did think it's pretty the interesting one, even though a lot of people complain about it at the moment. That one because I guess, in my opinion, I think it's because no one ever thought of it till now.
What? Thought of what?
That Michael would either come up with a copycat or an accomplice, or even both, for that matter. Yeah. Because this is not a conversation or even a thought that came to the director's minds till now.
But anyway, we're not talking about the other movie, just this movie, and there was, had no accomplice, no real copycat. This is had a person who they thought was Michael Myers, so it wasn't. So,
my theory is that why this happens later on is because Michael's gotten weaker. He's old. Jamie Lee Curtis's character, she's an old grandma. So if they're both the same age, which I imagine they were back in the 1978, maybe that they would have been really old now.
I would think that. How long was Michael in prison in the nut house for before he broke out the first time?
1978.
No, how many years was he in? He was about 10 or 12 when he went in there. Was he in there for 10 years or 15 years?
I can't really say, Mike.
No, I can't remember.
I can't really say, and I don't know what age.
But if he's in that house for, say, 15 years, okay, he could have been about, say, 20 to 25, and Laurie would have been late teens probably.
Because I did see...
So he's a bit older.
I did see him unmasked by the actor, obviously, and he was a very young man at the time doing it.
So,
So who knows the age?
He's going to be a bit older than her. So if she's 70, he's going to be about 75 or more.
Yeah, or older.
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say. So,
I'm just saying.
He should be retired now and pass the job over to somebody else.
Well, that's probably the whole message in the next movie is a little bit, maybe. I'm not sure.
It should be Halloween, pass the baton. Or something.
Yeah, well, I think that it goes deeper than that, or maybe not deeper, because Michael is not about the planning. He's all about the...
he just does.
He just does it because he's like most people. He's like me when it comes to work, fly by the seat of my pants type stuff. And you don't really plan this stuff; you just do it.
And as Yoda says, remember the great teacher Yoda?
Yep.
Do or do not. There is no try.
Anyway, Michael is all about doing the thing.
He does.
He doesn't plan it. He's not a structured killer. He doesn't seek revenge or anything like that. Even though in the past ones we've often assumed for a long time that he does it because he wants to kill his family. Even though by now in this version we established that Laura Stroll is not really related to him in this one.
There's some hints in the previous movie that they might have been related, but anyway, doesn't matter.
Causing a bit of a reason for why he's after her, because he killed his first sister, and therefore he wants to kill his second sister.
Well, exactly right. She could be reminding him of his sister and the original encounter he had of her on that fateful night. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that throughout the 80s and the 90s, they have questioned this and have tried to come up with their explanations of why he's doing this. Is it because of a cult ritual? Is it because of...
I find it very hard to believe a 10-year-old boy would be in a cult.
I know, but someone dabbled with black magic and decided to make him the project of the devil or something like that.
Put some of his cornflakes. Okay, right.
Yeah, in this one, it kind of questions, why this is happening.
But he is a creature of the night. He's almost an immortal
Or so he says.
Well, no, almost. He's been shot and hung. He's been run over. He still gets up and walks away. He's almost immortal. Somewhere he has to have a weakness somewhere. Yeah.
Anyway, the one thing I liked about it was that they brought back the original actors from the first Halloween in the 1978 one. I mean, it's interesting, even though most of the actors I don't really remember really well because they practically just played co-stars.
Yeah, but that's okay.
Which is not too bad. I mean, I like that the old nurse of Samuel Loomis used to work with was back, you know.
Yes, he was.
Even though retired, but still back.
Yeah.
And one of the old babysitters, Kitties, came back.
Was there. Yeah.
Was there. And, well, that's pretty much it. I mean...
There's a few people there,
A few people.
In the bar earlier on,
Yeah,
before everything. Before hell broke loose, yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, let's go dive into reception, shall we?
Well, I'm not going to talk about reception piecemeal like, oh, these guys said so and so. Because it's all the same, okay? Rotten Tomatoes and other guys, all the people who voted on these sites gave it a bit below average because I think they were expecting a bit more violence and a bit more action in it.
Yeah.
That's the only reason. Now, honestly, if all the other ones had a lot more bloodletting and other good jump scares in it, you would think this should have done the same thing. But having said that, you look at you had Star Wars, the first movie, New Hope. That was a good movie.
Yep.
And then the next movie, what was the one? Empire Strikes Back.
Empire Strikes Back, yeah.
And that was, to me, that was a little bit lame. But then it led into the next movie.
Exactly.
And I think maybe this movie is a bit tamer because the next movie, Halloween Ends, is probably going to be the icing on the cake.
Yeah.
So this might be sort of just, okay, we're doing a segue from that through here. We've been chasing the wrong guy, we killed the wrong guy, we found Michael Myers, we're trying to kill him, shot him, beating him up, everything else, and he disappears again.
Yeah, that's
ready
true.
for the next movie.
I mean,
and that could have been what they're trying to do.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
maybe.
I mean, in this one, it was pretty much even when, as a lot of people have told me in the past, the matter of the good of the one outweigh the good of many and stuff like this. I know it's from Star Trek.
What?
It's not really. That's not really the right term.
The good of one doesn't outweigh the good of the many. It's the wrong way around.
Okay, not really. But a lot of people often say the amount of people will defeat the biggest foe and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But in this case, Michael turned out to be the exact opposite. Like, I mean, he fought a crowd of people. I mean, I've seen him fight 3 people sometimes, or 4, and often come out the victor in some situations.
Yeah, after he's been beaten up by baseball bats, pitchforks, been stabbed. See,
shot to death.
Jason Voorhees is the same. No matter what you do to Jason, he's always coming back for a sequel.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
I often wondered, will they ever make maybe a sequel out of the next Friday the 13th? I don't know. I mean, we've done so many so far.
They killed Freddy Krueger, didn't they?
That's true, they did.
They put him to rest.
So we think.
No, he hasn't come back recently, has he?
No.
Oh, wait a minute. Rob Zombie. Yeah. Rob, you're going to make a Freddy Krueger?
I don't know. I mean, there's written rumours a lot.
Rob Zombie can make one. Go out, Rob. It's nobody else wants to do it.
Yeah, well, anyway, I remember that Rob Zombie did his own Halloween, obviously, with a few adaptations of his own devising.
He does stray a bit from the original concepts.
Well,
but anyway,
Anyway, I did think it was pretty cool, especially how I liked it that when they did the title card, that they mentioned, or not mentioned, they showed different pumpkins in throughout the scene that mentioning bringing back the original 12 or 12 other Halloweens that
the
were
previous movies,
from the previous movies. Not just saying we're just shoving those aside, shove them back into the cupboards and all that stuff. They're not part of this franchise, all the same.
No, but this is all like.
But they're just mentioning them as a bit of a.
And that's why they brought the other people back into the movie and stuff. They're reprising their roles and stuff because it was to reinforce this part of the original. I won't say it can't be trilogy. Franchise.
Yeah, I know that each one has played a very big, significant role here and there.
Those pumpkins would be smelling by now, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Old and grubby and drawn out. And,
Yeah.
sorry.
Anyway, I pretty much, I'll promise you guys our next review will probably be the next Halloween movie that just came out just last month. So I'll be sure to review.
I think it's going reasonably good, but it's a bit too early. It's too early to tell the full box office figures at the moment. But
yeah, I think people just are a bit shocked that it's different from its predecessors. Yeah. I mean, they probably never imagined it would go in a different direction. They would probably assume this one was going to go with Michael chasing her, Laurie, throughout the hospital like he did in the second movie in the original.
And why not?
But I guess that would have been pretty much just going back to the original concept again. And why would he be going back? Why would he be continued chasing Laurie when he doesn't even have a cold grudge against her?
Who the hell's he? Probably even can't remember him. Yeah. Has he ever seen a birthday card or a Christmas card?
He probably.
How would he remember? Yeah.
It's the same with that old Leatherface from when they did the sequel to that particular movie. They tried to bring back Sally, who the sole survivor in that movie.
Yeah.
He didn't seem to care whether she was there or not. Shrug shoulders.
I don't give a rat's. Yeah.
Anyway, that's a different story I won't bring up again.
Yeah, why not?
Well, that one was it was not really that good, to be honest. Anyway, should we rate this now?
Well, wait a minute. If you wish to get a copy of this, yes, you can get it on eBay. Yes, you can get it on Amazon. I was having a quick look at Amazon. I didn't see it up for rent, though, on Prime. I might have missed it, if you have a look around. But if it's out there and other people have it on different platforms, whatever, it's probably rentable somewhere. But yeah, you can get it. You can get it. Well, you might be able. If there's one, when did the other one come out? Just recently?
Months? Just last month.
Yeah, so if you wait off for a couple of months, if you're going to buy a copy, you might get a double header. But if you don't buy single ones, or rent it, or whatever you're going to do, but yeah, I'm going to.
Well, I think this one's already out, obviously.
No, what?
I think this
one's out already. I just can't say the other one would be out yet. But if you want to wait, you get a double. Yeah, a double. You might get Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends on a double disc job. So
or a free job. Considering that we forgot the 2008 version that came. This was the Halloween Kills is a sort of a direct sequel to that one, and the next one coming, which is Halloween Ends, is a sequel to this current movie.
I just said that.
Yeah. So you might
get a double this one and the next one as a double. Yeah.
Or trilogy, considering.
Or trilogy, yes. So the previous one, this one, and the other one. Yeah, the next one.
Or even a fourth one, considering that one's
and the fourth one. Yeah. It's not quite the end. We're going to reprise him now and do a
considering that this movie
reality job.
Considering that they've had different timelines for Halloween in the last couple of years.
They sometimes do that. They do a story which doesn't quite. I'm not saying necessarily Halloween, but sometimes I'll do a story which isn't quite in line with the storyline, the way it's going, and it's an alternate reality type job. Agreed. And then they'll come back and reprise the original story and actors and stuff and carry on. So yeah, I don't like that.
Me neither.
I would like to see start to finish in a series of movies without digressing. Yeah. And so, we'll just do a spin-off here, you know.
I remember one time in Halloween H2O, that one had let me see, who was it? Janet Leigh, Tony Curtis's wife, and Jamie Lee Curtis's mum, who made a cameo appearance in that very movie.
Okay.
Just a brief cameo appearance, not a very big.
Hey, were there any Sligos in it?
Well, funny you should say that, Mike. They did do a psycho theme background music and a bit of, a little bit of egg elements in egg hunting in that scene, which kind of indicates in that scene, kind of a bit of a callback to the original slasher.
I saw about Hitchcock movies. I saw a brief cartoon on the internet the other day. It had this bird was talking, a parrot was talking to these other birds, and he said, "Look, I watched this movie the other night by this guy called Hitchcock, and I think I got a great idea." He's talking to the other birds. So it's right, okay. That's sick cartoon. I thought it was rather good then. Okay, the bird's going to take over again. Yes. Anyway, yeah. So I'm going to give. Honestly, I'm going to give this a high score because I think it's a segue to the last movie, and taking it from that, I'd say they kept it a little bit down and just changed the storyline a bit. Like, oh, we chased the wrong guy and then tried to kill Michael in the end. Didn't work. Okay, where's he going now? To bring us into the next movie. So I'm going to give it a 9. I would have given a bit more, but yeah, they could have had a little bit more.
Yeah, I think
a bit higher.
I think I will give it a 9 myself too.
Bloodiness to it, I was going to just say, or a bit more on-screen carnage, as it were, make it more interesting. But no, it's still good. 9's good, and I just can't wait to see the next film.
Yeah, I think the next one is sort of like how a slasher killer is born or created.
It could be a bit of retro stuff. I don't know. I haven't read any. I don't try to read up on it before I see it.
Yeah, well, in that one, it's sort of like, as I said before, there's a prodigy in place in that one, and it kind of creates how a slasher killer gets created. Like, is it because out of revenge, the person has a very creepy past, or is he already plagued with illusions of grandeur or something creepy like that? Okay. Or maybe the fact it was an accident and people didn't see it as an accident but decide to make out he's a monster, therefore we must tease him, pick on him, and say nasty things about him.
The town could have made him.
Exactly. I mean...
I can see where you're coming from, yeah. He's a weird little boy, he got treated like a weird little boy, so he became a weird little boy and his brain snapped.
Yes, exactly.
But why is he superhuman?
Well, this one is more to do with the new one that becomes his prodigy. Yeah. He has a disturbing past and future.
Like Mr. Saw had the policeman came, and the doctor and guy and other people started to do work for him.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah. I see where you're coming from.
Well, as I said before, it's a twisted story. This version that a lot of people probably never thought at the time would ever come as start people thinking.
Exactly.
I mean, a lot of people keep thinking Michael's not the planning sort. He's all about the going ahead.
He's the action hero at the other end of the scale.
Yeah. He's the one who often goes out, kills everyone. Does not matter who comes in his way, just as long as he can get what he wants. Whoever gets in his way is pretty much cannon fodder.
Cannon fodder. Yeah. Anyone in the way, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Next, please, go home and have another dog. Yeah.
Exactly. Anyway, so I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10 myself.
A 9 and 9. There you go. Not bad.
Not bad, I think.
No, I reckon it's a good movie. And actually, I can understand why the camera guys got nominated.
Yeah, I read somewhere that when they were doing the flashbacks to the past, they had to contact the original DOP to get the right filters and lighting to recreate that similar feeling to back then. It is an old thing, considering back then they had to use whatever lighting equipment they had available to them, and it was
they're trying to emulate the same sort of feel. Yeah, I mean, not cheap stuff, but if they used back in the olden days, they would have had these really big bulky lights, par cams or whatever they used to use. I can't remember what they're called now, and they were very bright, and they're very hot and very bulky. And nowadays they'd probably use LED equivalents. They went back to using the old stuff to get the same sort of lighting. You get the right. Not lumens. What's the lumens? Not lumens.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, the colour. Yeah, what bright light, warm light. Yeah.
Yeah.
They get the same thing you get from the old lights. Yeah.
They also had to recreate the look and the feel of the old house, and they couldn't do it on an actual house lot like they would have done years ago. So they had to do it inside a studio and green screen the whole street to emulate the old look again.
Yeah.
So they had to. They did say during filming that they were going to be doing a lot of nighttime shooting for out there.
Well, night work's good for these sort of
movies, they didn't want to cause disruptions in the the town that they may film in. So they decide to build inside a studio to avoid this happening again.
Well, I do have coloured facades, and it looks pretty good, yeah. So if it works well, yeah, hey, do it. Anyway, we don't keep talking about going around circles. I can't think of anything else to say apart from it's not a bad film. It's like it works in the continuity side, and it's a damn fine production. There you go.
Anyway,
but I think it's leading on to a bigger and better.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
So that's a bit it for us tonight. So be sure to check it out. Let us know in the comments what you think of it. As I often say, do not always go by the reviewers. I mean,
it's really funny. You said that. I mean, I've said it before. Sometimes reviewers say the movie's crappy, and the people who went to the theatre loved it, and there's a box office really good. And sometimes the critics think it's really, really great, and it performed poorly or underperformed, and it actually lost money.
And
so,
like you mentioned in the past with the COVID that hit, it would people would have been too scared to even go to it because of COVID issues.
Having said that, yes, it's a very good point. What month did this actually come out?
Well, I think in October, obviously.
Wait a minute. Distributed release date September last year.
Oh, September. Sorry, guys.
September, October. Yeah. So if it came out about October last year, some of the people might have been still shy of going to the theatre to watch the film.
Yeah. So you can't judge the numbers.
But it still made money. Don't get me wrong.
It did made money.
Could have made a lot more. Yeah.
And considering numbers of ticket sales don't lie.
Yeah, but if people weren't confident about going to the theatre as much, they could have doubled the tickets or tripled the tickets.
I guess that the reason why it didn't it bombed was because they thought that that the fact that they were trying to plan their stage of attack. All the people are trying to be like the army, try to plan their next stage of trying to figure out where Michael will strike next, even though they said, look over your shoulder, keep an eye out, and all that stuff, even though when you head into your car, you could just get strangled by him.
Put a tracker on him. There you go. Pin to his collar or something.
Yeah, and when you do shoot him,
Bell the cat.
When you shoot him, you shoot through the window instead of shoot him on the roof.
I noticed in this movie, people were shooting at him. People who had a gun in a car were shooting through the window. He's on top of the freaking car. Shoot through the roof. You might get him in the crutch, you might get him in the head. You don't know where the ball's going to go, but you're going to hit him if he's on the roof.
Yeah, it's interesting that in this one, like all Halloweens, he's walking while you're running.
And he still can't stop there. He must be a very, very long stride.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting when he killed a little boy off screen. A little jerk.
Well, no, he had to as part of the story.
Yeah, when the little kids thought
he didn't kill kids all the time.
No, he didn't.
He didn't kill every kid he came along. He
didn't kill Lonnie when he was a little bitty kid.
He didn't kill him?
No, he actually, when the police rolled up, he kind of head for the hills or head towards his house.
Or whatever. Or head for the hedge. Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I gotta admit, I did like it how they recreated the old actors from and the old lighting and the old house. It was and bringing back Samuel Loomis, even though we cannot bring back the dead.
No,
obviously.
Donald Pleasance was Donald Pleasance was a good actor. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking Donald. I don't think he was ever in a main role. He's always in a support role. He's like a co-star or something. He never had a lead. But as a co-star or a support role, he was a damn fine actor.
Yeah, as I've often said in the past, he's the Ahab in the story. No one knows why it's called an Ahab, but I know that's what the reason behind
Moby Dick.
Yeah.
He's chasing his whale.
Yeah, in this case, Samuel is chasing Michael.
He was a whale. Yeah.
Well, whale of a killer, anyway.
Well, a whale of good time.
He's a dangerous kriller.
Anyway, creepy crawly kriller.
Okay, so that's about it for us tonight, guys. Sorry it's a short one. It's
not that short.
Well... Anyway, as I was saying, thanks for thanks for listening to all those podcasts, everyone, and let us know in the comments what you guys think of it. And
we think it's good.
We think it's such
And I can't wait to... I haven't looked at the next movie. I do them in order.
Well, as I said.
So I don't want to watch one and then go back and review another one because it gets confusing. So
Yeah. Anyway,
yep.
This is Sarah Stephenson.
And the other guy, Michael.
saying, see you guys around on our next episode in Boys and Ghouls film review. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.